welcome back to Book Club Preview. Today we're looking at chapter 13 and 14 of Death in the Clouds. And the chapter starts off with being at Antoni's. Antoni's? This is the shop that Jane works at, where she does hair and dyes hair and different things. And she's a little bit nervous going back to work. Her boss is a little bit upset. The owner is a little bit upset. And they think about firing her, but they don't. And then Jane kind of starts getting back into work. There is a friend, Gladys, that she talks to. And as Jane starts to get back to work, all of these ladies are saying, You're the one. You're the girl that was at the inquest. Oh, it must have been awful. Tell me what it was like. And they would just gossip and share stories, and Jane would share. And then those ladies would go to their friends and say, oh, my hairdresser was the young woman that was on the plane with the murder. You should go talk to her. She'll tell you all about it if you're nice. And then so more and more and more people were coming to Antoni's, and they are getting more and more and more business. So much so that Jane asked for a raise. She was kind of getting a little crazy because everyone kept asking her. But then she's like, you know what? I should get a raise because I'm bringing more business to this business. And so the owner agrees reluctantly. Gladys is really proud of her that she did it. And then after a few days, Jane goes to lunch. She's sitting there having lunch, and there's a table, and 4 people can sit there. They can be all the same people or different strangers. And in this case, they were all strangers that are just sitting at this table eating. And Jane is just reading a book. One lady leaves, and then she realizes the person across from her is Jean Dupont. And Jean Dupont is one of the guys on the airplane, Monsieur Jean Dupont, the archaeologist, and his father, Armand, is teaching at the college. And Jean, he tells Jane, they're just talk about the murder and different things. He says, I don't know who would kill Madame Giselle because she was so ugly. Like, no one would kill her because of jealousy, and that's the only reason he can think of to kill someone. He really likes Jane. He wants to have dinner with her, but she's busy. So he says, oh, well, if you're ever in Paris, let me know. I don't know when I'll be back to London. She says, I don't know if I'll ever be back to Paris. He says, then maybe we'll never see again, or hopefully next time, and kisses her hand and leaves. Now, at the same time that this is all going on, Norman Gale is finishing up a tooth. And he finishes up this filling for a lady. And after she finishes, he's like, oh, okay, next week, let's do the next one. She says, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm busy. I'm traveling. And he says, okay, I got it. And over the last week or two, all of his customers have been canceling their appointments. And he can just imagine, oh, man, they feel, oh, that scary dentist who makes me feel uncomfortable and is hurting my face. Maybe he's the one that did it. Dentists are kind of strange and people are crazy these days. Whereas Jane, she gets to talk and people get to ask her questions and gossip. And her business is booming. Whereas poor Norman is losing his business, and he's actually thinking, man, maybe I should run off to Canada and start making money there, because he really wants to marry Jane, but the way things are going, probably financially, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. And he's getting a little nervous, but he's like, no, Jane will be patient with me. So he ends up having dinner with Jane. And as they're talking, Jane uses her woman sense to see that something is wrong with Norman, although he tries to pretend. And then she says, oh, it's because this murder, business is going bad for you, isn't it? He says, yes, it is. And she says, oh, we should do something. The police should do something. Why isn't anybody doing something? They say, we should do something. Look, over there, Mr. Clancy. Mr. Clancy is the writer, and he's eating by himself. And Jane says, let's follow him. This is God's divine appointment. We need to follow him because we're talking about following someone or shadowing someone or learning something, and now we see this guy. So they start to follow him, and he's just kind of walking around kind of crazy, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes in circles, and sometimes he's talking to himself. What is this? Oh, this is perfect. He's writing, and but why? Why would she have to be silenced? Oh, she needs to be silenced. What is it? Well, oh, yeah, that's why she has to be silenced. And he's writing something, and Jane and Norman are, what's he talking about? Oh, is he crazy? Oh, did we find the killer? And they follow him all the way to his home. And at the end of his home, someone steps out of the shadows with a fabulous mustache. And he says, "'Tis a fabulous," what's he say? "A fabulous night for the chase." Yes, we? Okay, it is, we can guess, our hero, Hercule Poirot. And that is where the chapter ends, which is really terrible, because that's finally where the action is, and I want to read chapter 16 so bad. Some vocabulary, a lot here, but here's a few that I selected. Trepidation is fear and nervousness. So when Jane goes back to work for that first day, she's a little afraid and nervous. Imbecile is a fool, stupid, not smart. Escapade is an adventure, a journey, outing. Jocular is funny, fun, humorous. I think Gladys's voice is jocular. When they're cutting hair, the ladies are like, "Oh yes, oh yeah." But when they're not by themselves, they're like, "Hey, man, that was a tough day." their voices change from when they're working and having to be cheerful and being normal. Languid is lazy, so someone is looking at a newspaper or article lazily. Impudence is rude boldness. So Jane says, "You should give me a raise." And I can't remember her boss's name. He's shocked at her impudence, her rude boldness. A girl's gotta fend for herself. Take care of yourself. Make your own way. Sometimes when my brother and I would come home and would say, "Mom, what's for dinner?" And she'd say, "Oh, I'm leaving with my friends. I'm going out to see your aunt something." You must fend for yourself. You must make your own food. You must survive with your own power. And we would, probably make some ramen or macaroni and cheese or something. Pugnaciously is fiercely, aggressively, almost angrily, but and I can't remember what was pugnaciously said. A few more here. Dictum is a saying. Oh, if there's one man who likes you, there's two or three. Oh, if there's one man who likes you, there's always two or three. You have a boyfriend? Watch out. If someone likes you, there's always two or three. Right? This is something she says often. A dictum that she often says. So when Jane sits down at the table, Norman likes her, and suddenly this other guy, Jean, likes her. Inanity. Actually, I had to look this one word up. It's like nonsense, making a nonsense remark. Jane says, "Oh, you haven't left London." Well, John is in London right now. Of course he hasn't left London. So the comment is useless in that sense. This is minute. Minute and minute are spelled the exact same way. They're pronounced differently. So you kind of have to see it based on a sentence. Kind of like read and read. They're spelled exactly the same, but they're pronounced differently based on the sentence. So minute means small. Concoction is like a mixture, an unknown mixture of things. Timbuktu is a place. It actually might be a place in Africa or somewhere, but it just means middle of nowhere. Oh, yes, another customer. They have to travel where? To Timbuktu? Okay. Just going somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That leaves us with our discussion question. What action would you take to help find the killer? Right, Norman's assistant, Miss something, says someone should do something. Oh, Mr. Gale, you're so smart and clever. You could do something. Jane says we should do something. Norman says something should be done. If you were able to do something, what action would you take? Of course, meaning that you're not the killer. Of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.